those of you who are watching from home, pull out your text of 20. So I'm going to play it, and then we're going to talk about it. The question I would ask you is this. Oh, actually, I think I would like to set it up with some comments that have come in from our ModPo people. Our buddy Shantine writes, this is one of my favorite poems in ModPo so far. This is Barbara Guest's 20. Not only does it sound so beautiful, especially in Guest's voice, and feel enjoyable to dwell in with all of its delicate and vibrant images. Maybe it's because I'm a vivid dreamer, and this type of free association is native to my mode of thinking writing, or that it's just simply so sweet. I'm in general really enjoying this week's poems that are meant to be just enjoyed. Helps put the pressure off life, too. Yes, so Shantine came to my Zoom office hour this morning and was going on about, in a wonderful way, about the way that this poem associates digressive, non-narrative poetry with the actuality of dreams. And one more thing to set you guys up. Deb Tannenbaum created a thread called A Method for Reading This Poem. All right, here it is, and this is crucial. 1, read the poem. 2, try to understand. 3, confusion. 4, feeling sleepy. 5, play video discussion. 6, catch the first few minutes whilst falling asleep. 7, catch key phrases. Sleep is 20. What an idiotic number. 8, wake up when video has ended, having missed all but the first few minutes. 9, reread poem. 10, aha. That is so fucking smart. I love that. Okay, here's Barbara Guest performing 20. Here we go.
20. Sleep is 20, remembering the insignificant flamenco dancer in Granada who became important as you watch the mountain ridge, the dry hills. What an idiotic number. Sleep is 20. It certainly isn't 20 sheep. There weren't that many in the herd under the cold crest of Sierra Nevada. It's more like 20 Madison Avenue buses while I go droning away at my dream life. Each episode is important, that's what it is. Sequences. I've got going a 20-act drama, the theater of the active. The critics are surely there, even the actors, even the flowers presented on stage, even the wildflowers picked by the wife of the goat herd each morning early while I sleep under the snow cane of Sierra Nevada. Yellow caps like castanets. I reach into my bouquet half dreaming and count 20 yellow-capped heads. Flowers clicking 20 times because they like to repeat themselves, as I do, as does the morning or the drama when hopes will be acted many times, as even these dreams in similar people's heads. 20 castanets.
That is one heck of a poem.
I love what this poem does about association. It really lays out how an association might work. So like for me, the best part is, I don't know if it's like the fourth stanza from the end. It's yellow caps like castanets, et cetera, et cetera. So it's like castanet, right? Flowers, bud, head are all sort of like similarly shaped. We get this sense of like an audience that their heads are all like flowers or their heads are all castanets or there's 20 of them. And it's like, you get this like where a shape kind of carries you over to different images. And so the poem is organized by almost like, I mean, what we might call dream logic, but what we also might call an association of form. And what I like about this poem is it just kind of revels in it. And it even says it, like it goes, sequences. Like it's like a kind of great pleasure in sequencing this way.
Lily, thoughts on 20, followed by Jason?
What I love about this poem is there seems to be a rejection of a heavily symbolic, like content-based reading of our dreams that is maybe more typical of what we think about, like when someone is like, tell me what you've dreamt about and I'll interpret it or I'll make a meaning out of it. She's kind of actively rejecting that, I think. Maybe it's a Freudian thing that she's rejecting, but she says, I've got a whole 20-act drama going with so much happening at once. You couldn't even begin to assign each thing its own symbolic or direct like content-based interpretation, almost kind of like why Frank O'Hara is not a painter. She's like, all I have to tell you is that I had a crazy dream with 20 sequences in it, and therefore all of these things can be happening simultaneously. Actors, flowers, wildflowers, a goat herd, snow cone of the Sierra Nevada, like they're all happening just because I write in the poem I'm having a crazy dream, basically.
I think we could either today, or not likely today, but another time, explore the psychoanalytic interpretation of dreams. I think that would be interesting because it's part of the rejection of traditional symbolism. So interpretation of dreams is 1899, and it really, in a very, I think, positive way, revolutionized the relationship between the unconscious and things that we might write if we were freely associating. Surrealism, surrealist logic. But then Barbara Guest seems to be doing exactly what Lily is suggesting, which is to say, no, I don't want to know what this means about these concerns that I have, these anxieties I have, or my relationship with my friends or my parents or my loved ones. I'm not interested in making semantic meaning of it. I'm interested in exploring how the thing moves because it's so beautiful the way it moves, the way the mind works when it's somnambulistic, which is what Deb Tannenbaum was getting at with her list, basically saying the best way to do ModPo is just kind of hallucinate, to use that word again, to just sort of let the thing become a shimmering non-thing to the point where you realize that's what it's about. That's the alternative to daily life that I'm leading, says Deb Tannenbaum. That's good. Thank you, Lily. Jason, quick thought on this?
I find this poem totally fascinating because we talk about the materiality of language, but what do we talk about if we talk about the materiality of number? 20 doesn't signify, unless, at least for me, unless it's 20 something.
Right.
So to throw a number down is to immediately, like the first line, sleep is 20. Like 20 what? 20 bananas, 20 dancers, 20 granadas. Like I immediately want to fill that sentence out, but there's that gap before Barbara Guest begins to give us imagery and then protest the number in the middle of the poem by saying, what an idiotic number. And then later, it's more like, I always read 20 Madison Avenue buses. I always read it as an address, 20 Madison Avenue. And then I'm like, oh, no, whoops, I'm wrong, buses. It made me think of last week's Nanao Sakaki poem, Small
Yes.
People. It starts with 801 is the first number. And then there are year numbers, and then there are giant numbers. But with 20, we keep coming back to this number that is, I think, a weird, I think I always have had like a synesthetic relationship to digits and most numbers, where I get a color or a texture or a kind of compass point from different numbers. But the only 20 thing about being human is our 20 fingers and toes. Otherwise, it is a strange and elusive thing to put in a poem. Like she could have just as well put a postage stamp in the poem. Or it makes me think of like a Rauschenberg assemblage. Like it collides into the language of the poem in completely unpredictable, unstable ways.
Thank you. Yeah, I think if she had said the poem was called 13 or some other symbolic number, it wouldn't be the same. Yeah, I like that.